I don't mind.
There seems to be quite a lot of Londoners here. I'm sitting next to a lady from Haringey, Hayes in North London.
Okay, so here we are, day 2 of the Your Party founding conference in Liverpool. As you see, it's a nice chilly morning, and people are coming through. It's 9 o'clock. It starts at 10:15, and we've got some people who've agreed to speak to me. And Moira Samuels, who we'd obviously spoken to about Grenfell before, but you're involved in a party that's involved in this party and stuff. Could you tell us why you wanted to speak? Because you were upset by something that happened in the live stream yesterday.
Yes, I've chaired a number of meetings, some of them extremely large, and some of them in my role as a trade unionist, some in my role at work. And as far as I know, a chair is meant to be fairly neutral and fair. We cannot have a situation where we are fighting for democracy in a new party, where a chair comes in before she's even taken the chair and is sectarian and is already actually criticising and debasing other organisations. That is not how democracy works. And, I want to say again and again, I'm a Grenfell activist, and not a single person in my community said, sorry, you can't fight for justice because you're a member of the SWP. The left, the British left, has to step up. They have to do better. They, at the moment, in this conference, are behaving like overprivileged adolescents. This bickering is not helpful when we have fascism at our door. People like me are being told to go home. It is a long time since I've come to this country where I was told to go home. We have in the return of massive racism. We have our communities who are actually on their knees after 14 years of austerity. And yet we are bickering in this kind of way, incredibly unhelpful. And actually, we must step up, and history will not judge us very well.
Yeah, it's hard to respond to what you've just said. Carolina, what would you like to say?
Well, actually, I found, and I'm sorry, it's a little bit different, my view, a lot of democracy. We were voting even to consider if 10%, 25%, or 40% or 50% of the local people should be included in branches, and we went for the lesser number. I do understand what you mean, what you're talking about, but there is a history behind these actions that happened yesterday. And I'm friends of people from the Socialist Worker Party, from the Socialist Party. They all have trying to ask me to join them. I haven't. I never did. I was a member of the Labour Party, now Your Party. And the stories I have heard of what they have done in some of the branches already before the party actually exists have been really appalling. And I do believe, and I'm coming from Venezuela, Chavez won with a broad support. He wouldn't have got to power, even though he was the figurehead and the charismatic leader. He wouldn't have got to power if he didn't have the support of all the left. Before him, the left was bickering, fighting, and even so, when I was at uni, that group seems to be an infiltration group. I hope we never get to power, because those guys were so dictatorship in the way they behave. One little party that I can't even remember the name. But the question here is that you can be for the SWP party, you can be for any party, but please make your alliance, your loyalty to your party. I do believe there is a problem if you have double membership, because what is your agenda? Why do you need to belong to a very smaller party? And I don't mind if you're from a smaller party, but the things I have seen them doing in the last 3 months, basically, recruiting people for their own group with the franchise of the Your Party branch, and also pushing people out of those groups that don't, collide with themselves, and that has happened for the last 3 months. We need to see what is behind these actions that we're taking, and I do understand that maybe the tone wasn't right sometimes, but the situation here is that look at the other side. If they have come looking to work together as we need to really face the fascists that are, thanks to the media and establishment trying to get to power in this country, we need to work really together. And that includes the Socialist Worker Party needs to really come without any hidden agenda. We really need to come together.
Yes. Can I respond? We don't have a hidden agenda. We are not an electorally registered. That's where everybody's confusion is. We are not electorally registered as a party. And we will never contest a seat where your party member is standing. We actually are thinking of standing in places. We want your party. I have joined your party at a time when 8.5 years on, I've just watched the Hong Kong fire. Do you know how my community is traumatized? We have no justice. We have no justice, and the Labour government is not giving us any justice. So the reason that I am part of this, and I've come here at great expense, is because I want to go back to my community and say, there is hope for us. Here is a party where we can come together, where we can look at the housing crisis we are facing, we can look at justice, we can look at the educational deficit we are facing in our communities. There are a whole range of issues that our community face that is no different from everything that's been talked about here. We don't have a hidden agenda. I happen to be a revolutionary socialist.
Excellent. That's what we want. So
there
we
is
need
no
to
agenda for me to take over the party. This is not a revolutionary party. We're all clear about that. There is no, we're not going, there's another revolutionary party.
So
we need to get over and take it.
Let's work together then.
We want to. It is not coming from the top there.
We need to then force this message that we, first of all, need to spend time in this conference. Possibly not today, this time, because it's the funding conference, but we need to start really getting on the business of setting up our policies, working together in grassroots movements, something I do in Barnet. We need to do it, and let's do it. Let's continue
I'm
with
an active member of Stand Up to Racism. I have actually co-organised a protest against Tenkoni in West London, in West Drayton, which is rampaging through a community that is not mine, but which I am doing in solidarity, because we cannot allow fascists to actually roam around our streets.
I agree.
I am somebody, and so is so many members of my comrades, who are involved in a whole range of local campaigns. We get our hands dirty.
I count
so that's
my
our
friends.
agenda.
Yeah.
That's our agenda.
I
Solidarity. That's all. And I think I want us
true.
to all actually be thinking in a more positive and a more hopeful way,
do it.
rather than this,
Yeah.
because it's unseemly actually. And I think the British left is better than this.
Definitely.
Would you like to say something?
I agree with that.
I'll hold this.
Okay. I'm a little bit disappointed by some of the negativity surrounding yesterday and the build-up before this conference, both in the media and unfortunately by some people in the hall yesterday. I'm hoping for something rather more positive and constructive today. A little bit of behaving like responsible adults, frankly, because I totally agree with what the last two speakers have said, that the threat from fascism is absolutely real, and this is the last chance, in my opinion, that we have to pull Britain back from the abyss of a descent into fascism. We have to get it right. Yeah. Yesterday, it wasn't perfect. Let's be honest about that. But I'm rather more positive than I think previous speakers were. I think we made some real progress yesterday. Some important decisions were taken. I'm hoping that by tonight we will have a durable, workable, basic structure that we can build on, and then we can get out and campaign on the many community issues. And I agree completely with what the previous speaker said about Grenfell and Venezuela, and there are many other issues as well. We need to get out there. We need to be forming policy, and I'm hopeful that by tonight we'll be in a position to do that. Right.
But do you think sometimes that this idea that the fascists are at the door and stuff, I mean, people are saying that, it's quite an often said quote, but I don't actually get the feeling people are feeling it earnestly. I mean, earnestly believing that we have to resolve this problem of the left not having a party. It seems like people are using it as a kind of thing to say, but they're not. You know, we're not. Are we really trying to unite and get this together?
I think it's real. Where I come from, which is Loughborough, between Leicester and Nottingham, if I go to the market in my hometown like yesterday, every Saturday, Reform are out there with a big professional stall, professional graphics, leaflets, canvases, the lot. People are listening to them. People who should know better are listening to them. And we're not there to counter that argument. Yeah. If we don't get out there, the threat is absolutely real. I'm trained as a historian, and I see a lot of parallels between what's happening in Britain now and what happened in Weimar Germany in the early 1930s, just before Hitler came to power. I don't think the threat of fascism is a slogan to try to get people united around. I think it's real. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. What would you like to say?
No, I'm just commenting on what Neil said, which was a good example of when the left got together was in Caerphilly, when Reform was reportedly going to win that seat in the by-election recently, and everybody went behind, not my favourite party, but everybody went behind Plaid Cymru, and Plaid Cymru won the seat. So I think people did unite against fascism in that case, and I think the fear of fascism is true, it is here. I think that we are very aware of it, that we have to get this right. We don't get many chances on the left in Britain for so many reasons. You know, we can pick at little moments that stay in our heads of Kinnock not supporting the miners, or Blair and Iraq and tuition fees, and we've got, and on the left it's been bloody hard, and we've got this one chance, and the personalities and all this kind of thing. I understand why some people are upset, rightly so. But we're going to get on with this conference. It's yesterday on the vast majority of it, I think, was positive. I'm very hopeful. Today will be positive as well. And the personalities will all go into the background then, because this is the founding conference. And as far as I understand it, henceforth, it'll be member driven. And this has been an interim stuff. And yes, SWP shouldn't have been thrown out and all that kind of thing. Yes. But after today, I feel that people are going to go back to their communities. They're going to start to get active. We will have the constitution. We will have the voting, all this kind of thing. So hiccups, yeah, but let us not forget where we are and how we've got here in such a short space of time. And we are only here, and some people like Zara more than Jeremy. Some people like Jeremy more than Zara. That doesn't interest me, but we also have to respect history. My father was a historian as well at the Nuremberg trials, as a young observing lawyer, by the way. I want to talk to you about history afterwards, sorry. But we have to remember history, and the fact of the thing is that I think that we're only here because Jeremy became leader of the Labour Party. I don't think this would have happened without him being at the fore, and him, and us being so close in 2017 and having two wonderful manifestos in 2017 and 2019. This is why we're here. So one can say about the controlling thing around certain personalities, and that's probably true. I don't know about the ins and outs of that, but we are here because X, Y, and Z happened, and we have to get on with it. Today will be positive, I think, on the whole, and we have to be inclusive. And another example, apart from Caerphilly, and then I will stop, is being half French, the Front Populaire, the Popular Front, the French left are always bickering and always arguing amongst themselves and never get together about anything. But because not that long ago, quite recently, there was a risk of having a fascist prime minister, the left came together. They stood down in certain seats, they stood in other seats, and they came together and they defeated the fascist, who otherwise would have become the prime minister, the Le Pen candidate. So we can do it in this country. We will defeat the fascists. This will be fine. We'll go back to our communities and we'll start working.
Brilliant. Pamela, do you want to say something? What do you think about today's conference? Do you think it's going to be a fractious affair, or do you think people will see sense now and get on with building this party?
Well, seeing sense might be being fractious. I joined the Labour Party in order to defend Jeremy against the accusations of anti-Semitism because he supported the Palestinian struggle. And the lessons of that are so important to learn for your party. As a comrade said, we wouldn't be here without Jeremy being suspended because he was accused of anti-Semitism by Starmer. Corbyn said that the extent of anti-Semitism inside the Labour Party, this is 2019, was being exaggerated for factional reasons. In other words, for the right to attack Jeremy on his policy of fighting austerity and supporting the Palestinians. I'm a Jewish member. I'm a member of the Jewish Voice for Liberation.
Right.
And we recently had a conference where we changed our name from Jewish Voice for Labour to Jewish Voice for Liberation because we can no longer work in the Labour Party because they are so pro-Israel and pro-genocide. Starmer and Lammy cannot even say it's a genocide that's been going on for 2 years. Yeah. So in relation to what has happened in your party, the fact that Corbyn was witch-hunted out and is now witch-hunting the Socialist Workers' Party, I think is shocking. The Socialist Workers' Party has its faults like any other party, but if you're going to attack the left, then that is the beginning of a witch hunt against anyone you dislike or against the whole left. So I'm very much opposed to that. And I think Jeremy should try and learn the lessons of what happened. When Margaret Hodge called him a fucking anti-Semite, he apologised to the Jewish community. He should have stood up and said, no, I'm not an anti-Semite, because what Israel is doing, destroying the rights of the Palestinians. Right. And lastly, when the chair of the conference at the first session said, you cannot challenge the chair, my mouth dropped open. Has anyone here been in any meeting anywhere where you cannot challenge the chair? We were told to go out of the hall into a separate little space, write down what your challenge was, and they would consider it. That's not democratic. Right. And I'm afraid the signs are that we hoped that your party would be more democratic than the existing Labour Party. The signs are not good. But I think, and I am going back into my area and I'm going to work for your party, and I think comrades, well, as Jean was saying, go back into their areas and work for the sort of party we want to see, which is a democratic party with no witch hunts.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Lessons will need to be... Yeah, I agree with you about lessons being learned. At the end of the day, this is the 10th attempt that I'm aware of to start a new political party in the last 100 years. Only 3 of them have ever gained any traction at all, and 2 of those were from the extreme right. The other was the Greens. There is no YouTube manual that tells you how to start a new political party. We're making this up as we go along. Mistakes are inevitable, and as long as we learn from those mistakes and we don't repeat them, there is still hope, and I personally am still sticking with it.
Yes,
I mean, for me, this is an emotional journey. The last time I was in Liverpool was 1980. It was actually my 25th birthday, and I marched on the Right to Work march from the old pier head through Liverpool on the coldest day I've ever experienced, and it was depressing, to say the least. It was a huge march. It was totally ignored. We went right through Toxteth, which was grim at the time. It was scary. Then Friday, my 70th birthday, I was on a train back here to Liverpool to fight for the same values. I'm emotionally committed to this, and I'm sticking with it in spite of a few mistakes. Thank you.
Right. Well, thank you for that. Would you like to speak? You spoke yesterday. What did you think about yesterday's conference, and what do you think? What are you anticipating today? I mean, the thing I haven't actually mentioned is Zara Sultana is going to be speaking in the afternoon. So, what do you anticipate from that?
I look forward to it very much. I think she can bring inspiration to the conference and can let people go home with a belief that there is at least somebody there who is really standing on the side of democracy. I am very, very pleased that this party is being established. I'm fully behind it, and my experience of yesterday sadly was as I feared that it might be. All of these documents have been produced by an unknown, unnamed, unaccountable group of people, and all of the amendments were also chosen by them. So, for example, on the debate around dual membership, there wasn't an option that people who were members of parties that didn't stand against your party could be legitimate members of your party. I proposed that amendment. It wasn't picked up, so we were having to choose between two options that really didn't serve the people who really want to work with this party and have been working on the left for years and years and years and years. So I'm very happy that Zara's speaking today, and I hope that she will give us all a lift, because she's somebody, I think, who can embrace all of it.
Okay. Now, June, you're not. You were dancing at the start. Coral, were you dancing
Coral,
as well?
yes, we were.
You two were. Come on, let's have a look at your dance. Come on.
We're ready. We're ready.
Right, okay. So, and you're not wearing a coat either. So I better ask. Oh, you are, but you're not. Are you cold?
No, darling, I'm hot, hot, hot.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm so excited.
Calypso.
Yeah.
Go on then. Right, so I didn't know we were doing Calypso. So there's been a lot of talk here about just divisions and stuff like that, and rules and SWP and dual party, and but you were really up for it yesterday.
Yeah.
Are you still?
Yeah.
Are you still dancing?
Absolutely.
I have not seen the division. We've been at the front and we've had a wonderful, and this is the best one I've ever been to.
We're making history.
It is so fun.
We never thought we'd get picked. We're just ordinary Joes, foot soldiers on the ground doing the stuff in our own communities. Yeah. And we never thought in a million years that we would get picked. But we did. Sortition picked me. And I know there's been a lot of controversy about that, and I'm hoping they don't use it for year 2. But for the first year, I think it was perfect. And I've got as much right to be here as anyone from Counterfire, SWP, or any of the other groups, because I've got skin in the game. Yeah? I'm a community activist, so is Coral. She's a unionist. I'm a unionist. So we've got unison. We've got skin in the game, so we're going to stay. And I've actually really enjoyed the conference. Our first speaker, remind me of her name. Beautiful Lucy.
She was awesome.
Lucy Williams. She said, if my leaders didn't argue, I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Because like her, she's been raised in a family full of politics. The Irish have been raised in a family full of politics.
And same here, Jewish.
And same for you, right? And if we don't debate passionately, and we should debate passionately, but we shouldn't fall out. So, the SWP, they've got a rule in their rule book that says you can't be a member of another party. So why would one of theirs join your party without leaving? Was it a political stunt?
We really do need to unite.
Was it a political stunt? I don't know.
What can I just ask you, because I am a bit concerned. Zara Sultana is going to come on stage and say something that's going to get the whole room divided, and the kind of some people going crazy and others not. Do you think that's going to be possible, or are you worried about that?
Even if she does, we're all together, and no matter what,
we've got our own minds.
We've all got our own minds, haven't we?
Correct.
And she's one of us. We love Zara. We love
Jeremy, and we love everybody on the fringes. So,
and we've all got a right and how we feel. And
it's not us we should be fighting. It's out there. It's out there.
What,
it's
the
Irish
right fee over there?
No, the right.
Come on, fascism. Right, it's banging on our door. It's banging on our door.
We're saying that,
and we've got to get our shit together. Sorry, but we have got to get our shit together. Because we're not having it. I'm not having it in my community, you're not having it in your community, and you're not having it in your community. We don't want it. Right? It's love and peace.
Yeah. June's Leighton Buzzard and I'm Milton Keynes, so we're next door.
And I'm starting a branch from scratch. We haven't got one in my area.
Will you be dancing in Leighton Buzzard tonight?
No, later on in the conference we've got front row seats. Expect to see us on Channel 4, BBC. Even my family in Ireland found me.
Oh, I see. That's why you went in and put your coat down. That's why your coat's not here.
Correct. We put our towel down on the sunbed.
And don't forget the bob.
Bob. Oh yes. When the camera pans on the back of everyone's head and they're looking at the stage,
we say bob, and we all
do
go
this,
back and forward.
so you can see the heads going.
And we've got the whole row going now.
Come on, we've introduced.
You're making this much more fun than I thought it was.
Politics should be fun. Come on.
Okay.
We don't have to have anger and angst in everything.
Now, Alan, you don't think it's fun, do you?
I'm here for the left lane.
Yeah.
And I want to make one point.
Yeah. Okay.
These people think there's not division. Well, sadly, there is. And, okay, well, listen, I didn't interrupt you.
No, you didn't.
And this guy's not going to jump me like happened in Norwich. Came up, you remember that?
Who jumped you?
The guy.
Was it him?
No, it wasn't him. When I was on your show in Norwich, a guy jumped behind me.
Yeah. All right,
anyway,
okay.
so let me make my one.
Make your point, go on.
My one point is this: there is a lot of division. Let's not pretend there isn't. The Corbyn side has won. The whole series of things. I won't even go into all of that. I'd like to ask, and it's likely that they're going to go to the single leader model. People are not used to collective leadership. That is a model people don't. What's that mean? And I think it would be better, but I don't think it's going to go through.
Yeah.
There'll be a single leader for this party. I would like to make a plea to Zara that she doesn't run, because the last thing this party needs is another 3 or 4 months of disputes. Bide your time, Zara, and then you can be a leader in the future. But this is not the time. I'm not saying that she'd be the one to cause it. There will be a lot of dissension, a fight between the camps, the factions. Yeah. And I would like to ask Zara, she's a very smart woman, got so much to offer the party, but this is the time not to go ahead. This is the time to hold your fire for another moment.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. She's going to make a speech today and she's going to start. Do you want to talk before we end the thing? What would you like to say about today's conference? What do you think?
I hope it's going to go really well. I hope we're not going to have lots and lots of division, and I hope we can eventually come to an arrangement with the Green Party not to stand against each other. We should have independent pollsters deciding who's going to most like to win in each seat, and the other one should stand down. Because you can't have two left-wing parties fighting over the same voters.
Well, they're talking about that before in France. They do that with they
had to, didn't they? Stop the ban. Yeah.
Oh,
came together. You're going to have to do that.
All right. Well, look, I'm. What time is it now? We must have gone over 20 minutes here. What is it now? Half an hour we've been on here. It's freezing, and I want to go in there and get a coffee. And the conference starts at 10:15. If you want to watch the conference, it's on the Your Party YouTube channel. So I think you'll have to search that on YouTube. And we'll be back for our next transmission at 1 o'clock because I think the break for lunch is 12:30, so we'll do one at 1 o'clock, and then we'll be doing one at 5 o'clock to finish. And then this evening at 8 p.m. on Zoom, we will have a show in which people who maybe have not attended the conference will be able to give their opinions on what's happened. And also I've got a survey going out to people who wrote about their expectations for the conference. I want to find out what they think about the reality of it, and that's going out at 5 o'clock as well, so I'll find out what they think. So look, I'm going to sign off now. People are still coming in. Oh, we'll have to do you later, Andrea. All right, so we'll talk to Andrea at lunchtime.